That's one from the self-titled solo debut of Stephen Malkmus, who is our guest here at Ground Zero. I'm Chris Douridas. Stephen Malkmus is with us. Thanks so much for joining us.
It's nice to be here.
This is your first album project since the dissolution of Pavement, the band you steered for, what, almost 9 years, 8 years?
Yeah, 10 actually, if you count the ugly garage days.
So the first release was in 92, but the band actually started in...
Started in the 80s. Coming out of the 80s, yeah, basically 89.
So there's got to be upsides and downsides to making a strong career move like that. You know, putting to bed something that was your baby for so long. What are the upsides?
Upsides? Well, the newness factor. I mean, I think we all crave newness. Something that seems like it's going to, you know, new opportunities, the open range. You know, I guess you feel 10 years you can start to feel a little cramped, or, you know, that's, you don't have to, obviously. Marriage counselors tell us that we can revitalize things, but we weren't married, you know, there were no rings exchanged, so it was easy to just say, hey, it's just music.
So it was liberating for you, though?
In some ways, yeah. You know, I mean, it's like a paper wall you break through. I mean, it can seem really impossible to do, and then you do it, and you're like, oh, that was a paper wall, not a concrete wall. And I think everyone in the band feels that way for the most part. They feel great about what we accomplish, but just putting a positive spin on being the new frontiers.
Right. What would you say the downsides are?
Well, as you know, probably from, I don't know, most people that try to pull off being a solo guy and trying to keep the same fans or more fans, maybe. It's really difficult. If you look at just the way it goes normally. It's normally depressing, or it doesn't have the same zing. So it's a risk, you know. It worked for Bjork, worked for Neil Young, you know. Those are two famous people that, you know, people still love, that were in bands first.
Are there adjustments to being, you know, in the front seat like that, being the front person, that you had to go through?
Not really. I mean, I'm in the center of the stage. That's different. I suppose there's more interviews to do. I don't really notice anything. I mean, my band and anyone who comes to see the Jicks would feel pretty much the same as they would at a Pavement show, except I'm in the middle of the stage, really. I mean, I like a band sound, and I just can't be too much of a megalomaniac to say, like, you guys are just, you know, my hired band, and, you know, I don't want any of your personality except what I tell you. I wouldn't want that, you know.
Well, originally you wanted to put the album under the band name, right? The Jicks?
Yeah, I was going to start with that, but I decided I just went totally 180 degrees the opposite direction in the end.
What is the Jicks? Where does that come from?
Jick is a mix between a jerk and it's like something I said really late at night, misunderstanding somebody else, saying, like, you called me a jick, you know, like, no one calls me a jick, you know, even at this late hour, and you're my friend. So, and it's become a permutation. I found out that it's actually the jack in a card game. People call it, like, maybe in Bristol or some, like, Italian card game.
So the Jicks are Joanna Baum on bass, John Moen,
Johnny Moen on drums,
drummer, yeah, and Heather Larimer is backup vocalist.
Heather and Mike. I got another guy. He's not really, well, he's a Jick now, but he's not on the record. But those three play on it, on the record.
And these are people that you pulled together in Portland?
Yeah, over the last 3 years, I just kicking it in the fertile indie scene of Portland.
So you've pulled together some songs that you feel comfortable doing without the Jicks here. One of them being Vague Space.
I'm new on the acoustic circuit, really. A lot of famous musicians, Bob Dylan for one, cut his teeth on that scene, and then he went electric. Well, I'm coming back the other way, And so it's all new to me, but I'm kind of scrabbling something together just because it's easy just to bring one guy in and have him bash out some tunes. So I try to reinterpret the songs a little bit on acoustic. So yeah,
Excellent.
check it out, everybody.
Stephen Malkmus in the studio at Ground Zero.
Okay, 1, 2. Do you want to know where it stands right now? Do you really care what, when, why, or how? I came to crave your spastic touch, the honest ways you move too much. Before we could change, we could levitate, erase mistakes of the forest greats. Fermented minds could make them shake. Permission granted for the Wolverine stakes. I'd love to tell you all so soon, night and day, so soon, night and day. The formless matters of the brain, inequality of the drifting chain. A moment I could learn to love. The salutations to the levels above. We'll split the difference and call it quits. This is no new romantic blitz. Krieg. Pull off the foil and watch him break. A whisper's crushing all the symphony gates. I'd love to tell you all. I'd love to tell you all.
Called Vague Space. Stephen Malkmus in live performance. It's Ground Zero and Chris Douridas. And, I can't help but wonder, these songs, if the band had stayed together, if Pavement had stayed together, would these be the songs that would make up the next Pavement record, or are these songs that...
Yeah. Let me help you out with that. It would be, yeah, because these are the songs I was just doing in reaction to. We did our last record, Terror Twilight, and then I was like, well, I'm going to, I'm tired of this kind of heavy, what was my adjective for it that's not like a cut on it? I have one. It's not morose, because that sounds bad. There was a moody. That album's kind of moody, and I wanted it to be like more peppy, this one. And so I cranked out these numbers, and it would have been the next album of Pavement pretty much, Of course it would have sounded different, and it would have maybe, who knows what changes would have taken place.
So who's Clarence Ski Boots?
That's me.
Yeah.
That's something I saw in an they have REI down here. It's like a outdoor gear apparel store.
Okay.
For kind of yuppies and pseudo wannabe climbers. And anyway, I saw this thing that said clearance ski boots, because they just weren't. And then I just dropped out one of those E's, and that was my name. And it sounded sort of, Outcast was getting big, and I thought it could be a good name for, or a producer on, a Destiny's Child, one of those million names on the back of a Destiny's Child album or something.
Right.
Or more 70s, maybe.
Yeah, so you credited yourself as the producer on the record under the name Clarence Ski Boots.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I'd read somewhere that one of the songs on the record had come out of, or you had a title for it first, right? Jennifer and the S-Dog, is that right?
That could be one of the few times I've ever done that. Although the hook was kind of that way too, actually. Or it was Be the Hook for a while, kind of like Be the Ball. I was trying to write a song like, you have to be the hook, you know, like you have to be the catchy part of the song. Like, come on. That's how you get there, you know. Like Noel Gallagher says that to his brother or something, like swatting him, or be the hook, man, be the hook. But anyway, the Jenny and the S-Dog had that title, you know.
It's like building a movie around a poster concept.
Yeah.
You know, which they do sometimes.
Do they?
Yeah, you know, they have the poster design and then they build the movie around it or write the movie around it.
That's why they're all so bad. I wonder.
Yeah.
This town, Hollywood, has a lot to answer for. Much more so than Manchester,
But it worked for you, though, on this.
Yeah, no, it did. I mean, the S-Dog, it was kind of like Budweiser commercial-style material as far as I was concerned, you know, that like, S-Dog, you know, but...
The West Side thing.
Yeah, it was like, S-Dog, what's up? So, I kind of took it from that, but I did know a guy, if you follow the tune, I did know a guy named Sean who played bass in this Grateful Dead cover band called Indecision. So they played, it was like Indecision, and the girls all loved them, you know, because they played light. I mean, they like, Dear Mr. Fantasy, they played songs like that. They never even, they didn't do space, they didn't do dark songs, and preppies liked them. It was the ecstasy generation, like in the early 80s. They have one now for like ravers, but back then it was like frat guys, and like, dude, it was legal, you know. So they go, and they love, that music sounds really good, I think, when you're on E, but at any rate, check out the song. You're gonna hear it right now.
Stephen Malkmus is in the studio with us. It's Ground Zero.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Jennifer dates a man in a 60s cover band. He's the S-Dog, Sean, if you wish. Well, he's 18, she's 31. She's a rich girl, he's the son of a Coca-Cola middleman. They kiss when they listen to Brothers in Arms. And if there's something wrong with this, they don't see the harm. Joining their forces and singing along. Do you see those rings on her toes? Check that frisbee in his Volvo. It's the Volvo with ancient plates. Now they got a dog she named Trey, a retriever with a frayed bandana around his neck. Now Trey's got a window into their relationship. The baby talk voices in the post-class A nasal drip, but it all seems to function, at least in a dog's mind. Well, then Jennifer, she went up to school in Boulder, Colorado, and that S-Dog came to visit when he could. But the strain, it was too much. They could not make up for distance, and the distance between their years. Neither one listens to Brothers in Arms anymore. And the S-Dog waits tables, and he sold that guitar. And Jennifer pledged Kappa, she starred in pre-law. And off came those awful toe rings. Off came those awful toe rings.
It's called Jennifer and the S-Dog. It's Stephen Malkmus in live performance at Ground Zero. You can find the original on the album that is self-titled from Stephen Malkmus. I'm Chris Douridas, and you seem to be an avid reader. What are you reading these days?
Well, in the bus right now, I've got kicking out some George Orwell, Burmese Days, underrated book. It's about his experiences in Burma. that song You Like Pink India, it's basically like that song, like it's a story, that kind of song. An English guy moves there and how like colonialism doesn't work. And then I got some Giovanni Verga. He's like the Dostoevsky of Italy, translated by D.H. Lawrence. And that's one of these like capitalism is bad type things, or like Emile Zola, kind of like the city is evil and money is corrupting us and stuff. So,
would you say that Pink India grew out of something that you were reading?
A little bit. The New York Review of Books, I recommend everyone to get this. They should give me a free subscription because I always mention them. They have really long, in-depth articles. They had some about this great game, and then I read this guy J.K. Ackerley, who was kind of this fey English guy that moved to England in the 1900s, and he lived with this eccentric like would-be gay Raj and it's just really wacky, and so yeah, that got inspired by reading.
You know, we're going to hear another solo acoustic performance here in a bit, but let's go ahead and hear Pink India from the album.
Okay.
The album is called Stephen Malkmus, who is our guest here at Ground Zero.
Yeah.
It's called Pink India from Stephen Malkmus. It's from his self-titled solo debut. The former member of Pavement is with us here at Ground Zero. More when we continue. Stay close. From Spinner.com, it's Ground Zero. I'm Chris Douridas. We're joined by Stephen Malkmus, best known as the leader of the Stockton, California band Pavement. We're hearing a live in-studio acoustic session featuring songs from his self-titled solo debut. You know, the thing that I notice most when I hold this new collection of songs up against the Pavement catalog is your accomplished guitar work.
Thanks for saying that. I wish I was better always, but that's what I come to music first before being a songwriter. I mean, I would love to be in a great band and just be the guitar player, but I haven't found the people to the person that I thought was so awesome that I could just be the guitar player in their band. Maybe I have a big ego.
You know, I mentioned the guitar playing because on this next one, it's really, I think, a showcase for you.
Which one? Oh, the acoustic one?
Yeah, Trojan Curfew.
Yeah. That's a good tuning. I use that also on the song Stop Breathing, this old Pavement song. It's self-invented tuning. I won't make the Hall of Fame for it or anything, but it is. No one else does it.
Stephen Malkmus is in the studio. We're hearing a live performance.
Okay, this next number is known as the Trojan Curfew. Greek gods are communing beneath the Doric arch, and they talk how small we humans are. They drink to Agamemnon, they toast his Pyrrhic march, and wait for the sacrifices. While shepherds herd in real time, sheep or barley grazing on a field of grain. Vines ripen to find Troy will prevail. Trojan curfew prevail. So we got high on Eos, down around some Doric arch, and the trash blonde Scandi mistook me for a Swede. Her slurred medieval accent took a puddle at my feet. You could see chopped tobacco in her teeth. Flaccid waves converging on a rock-hard strip of concrete near a field of green. Please sign Deutschmarks so fine, aren't you to pale? Does it hurt you? You're so pale. Trojan Curfew prevail. All done. All right.
Trojan Curfew from Stephen Malkmus in live performance. It's Ground Zero. I'm Chris Douridas, and you and your band, the Jicks, are on the road right now. You're doing a lot of covers as you go, and there's some old stuff thrown in for good measure. You've even said that at some point you might, years from now, bring the guys from Pavement together for a reunion show at some point. That's something that you're still feeling as a possibility for.
Certainly, I leave that door open because, you know, I don't know. I just think it's good to keep things open, keep the lines of communication open, keep things positive, and
so you're on good terms with these guys. It's not.
Yeah, pretty good considering what most bands are like after 10 years of you know, bouncing off each other. I mean, we were so mellow, and actually Bob, the percussionist, is just doing the tour managing for this tour just because he wanted to get out of Louisville where he lives, and he was selling T-shirts last night, which which was weird, I thought, but I'm glad he did it. But he agreed. He's like, I don't know if I should be selling T-shirts because people come up and they're like, hey, aren't you the Pavement guy? And
that would look a little weird.
Yeah, times have changed. You're selling T-shirts now. Something which is totally untrue. But he risks too much on the horses.
Well, we're going to go out with one from the album. And as we do, I want to thank you again for joining us and bringing the guitar. And hope to see you again and wish you the best of luck on this. It's got to be kind of exciting, just taking these baby steps with this whole new thing.
It's pretty fun because it's new, like I said, and it's early on the tour, and everyone's in good spirits. So thanks for having us, me and my guitar, and we'll see you next time.
Stephen Malkmus at Ground Zero.